Joe Rogan reacts to Jake Paul defeating Nate Diaz.
Wow, I'll tell you what, that sets up an MMA fight for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. If they want to do it and make more money, that makes it very interesting. That sets up an MMA fight for sure.
You probably give that fight to Jake?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I'd imagine Jake.
Fucking impressive, man.
So I actually agree with Joe Rogan here. I think this does set up the MMA fight between these two guys. Of course, Jake Paul is associated with the PFL. He's talked about having an MMA fight, and I think this actually makes a lot of sense. And after the fight in Jake Paul's post-fight interview, he says the offer still stands at $10 million, and Nate Diaz seemed to actually consider it.
Yeah, that was impressive. That was impressive. And Diaz poured it on, man.
He did.
And a lot of people thought Diaz was going to get blown out.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
man, he survived.
Yeah, and he to Diaz's credit, I'd watch him fight again.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, they were both impressive.
I was one of those people who thought Nate Diaz was going to get knocked out. I didn't think this fight would get past 6 rounds. I thought Jake Paul was just too young, too explosive, too fast. But boy, was I wrong. I mean, Nate Diaz went out there, he put on a hell of a performance, and he definitely surprised me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't underestimating Nate Diaz. I'm very aware he's been fighting a hell of a lot longer than Jake Paul. He's got way more experience, no doubt about it. And we also have to mention, Nate Diaz is almost 40 years old. He's taken a hell of a lot of damage in his career. The fact that he went all 10 rounds with a fresh 25-year-old in Jake Paul, I mean, much props and much respect to Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz proved me wrong, and I am not ashamed to admit it.
Yeah, all 98, 91, I think.
Yep.
98, 91?
Yep.
Nah, 98, 91's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a little, but the
He
right
definitely
guy
won,
won.
so there's not an issue with it, but 98,
Yeah.
91?
The right guy won.
The right guy definitely won this fight. Yes, Nate Diaz had some great moments, and yes, we all love Nate Diaz, but Jake Paul was getting the better of him in these exchanges. He was landing cleaner shots, he landed more shots. Nate Diaz did not make it easy for Jake Paul. He applied a lot of pressure. He had Jake Paul backpedaling nearly the entire fight. Jake Paul did land a vicious left hook in the 5th round that dropped Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz was able to recover, and with only a minute left in the 5th round, Jake Paul wasn't able to finish the job. Nate Diaz weathered the storm. He took Jake Paul's best shot, got back on his feet, and kept fighting like nothing happened. Going into this fight, Jake Paul predicted that he was going to be the first man to knock out Nate Diaz, but man, Nate Diaz has a chin from I don't know where. I mean, you could literally hit this man with a baseball bat, and he is not going down. I think we also have to give some props to Jake Paul, even though he didn't get a knockout finish, because I was expecting a knockout finish. He still went in there, he put on a great performance, you know, he was landing some nice combinations. We also have to take into consideration, Jake Paul has only been fighting for 4, maybe 5 years. He has 7 professional fights versus Nate Diaz, who has been fighting, I mean, I don't know how long Nate Diaz has been fighting, but it's been a hell of a lot longer than Jake Paul. So whether you like or dislike Jake Paul, we have to give him his props. We have to call a spade a spade. He went in there and beat the veteran in Nate Diaz. But there you guys have it. Please be sure to leave your thoughts about this fight in the comment section down below. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already, and watch this video next.